By the time he was just 22, A.Y. McDonald had already lived quite a life. He had been orphaned as a boy, apprenticed in a plumbing shop, and left his home in Scotland to find work on the American frontier. The year was 1856, and A.Y. found himself in Dubuque, Iowa, an ocean away from home, and ready to launch a career that would forever link his name to the foundry and manufacturing industries. Innovative people invariably lead interesting lives, and that couldn't be any more true than in the life of A.Y. McDonald. Born in 1834 in Glasgow, Scotland, A.Y. McDonald was the son of John and Martha Young McDonald. By the age of just 14, he was an orphan and given the added burden of being the sole support of his aging aunt. To make ends meet, he found a job apprenticing in a local plumbing shop. It was that opportunity that would eventually impact the lives of thousands. After 6 years, A.Y. was quite literally ready to take on the world. At the ripe old age of 20, he and his aunt packed their bags and left for America, first to Cleveland, then St. Louis, and eventually north where he settled in Dubuque, Iowa. Finally, in 1856, A.Y. opened his own plumbing shop in downtown Dubuque on the north side of 6th Street between Main and Locust. The A.Y. McDonald Manufacturing Company was born. It was a humble, tiny little shop, but it was all his.
He rented a shop, and the shop was so small that he had to put a hole in the wall in order to bring the pipe into the building to put it in a vise to thread it. So, from very meager beginnings, he started his business.
Soon, A.Y.'s reputation for quality grew, right along with his reputation for innovation.
Not only did he start his own business, he also had many patents over the years of things he had to create to make his business run. The story of A.Y. McDonald is really an incredible one.
By 1860, the political mood in the United States had become unstable. That very same November, A.Y. would receive his official U.S. citizenship. A mere 6 months later, he would put his business dreams aside to respond to Lincoln's call for volunteers for the Union Army. It wasn't long before he was in harm's way.
When A.Y. was shot his first time in Missouri, he was taken prisoner. He was held in an old barn, which was a hospital barn. There were other prisoners.
A.Y. was held captive for 2 months, and then one afternoon a fiery young Confederate officer named Archie Ferguson came swaggering into the barn, cursing the Yankees and threatening to kill all the prisoners. The officer made his way over to A.Y.
He first recognized the voice, and he recognized it as a friend of his from Scotland, Archie Ferguson. So he looked up and said, "No Scotchman would dare touch a wounded soldier." And the gentleman looks down and says to him, "A.Y., what are you doing here?"
A.Y. was finally rescued by his brother-in-law, John Morrison, who ventured into Missouri alone by wagon, bringing out A.Y. and 10 others. A.Y. would eventually serve a total of 4 years in the Union Army and received an honorable discharge at the end of the war, but not before being shot once again, this time in the left arm. After the Civil War, A.Y. returned home and married Hannah Mesner. He had fallen in love with Hannah several years before while recovering from his first war injury. The two settled into a little house on West 11th and Spruce Street, and the new Mrs. McDonald soon became an important part of the business. A.Y. had ventured into the manufacturing of wire-wound drive well points, and much of the wire winding was handled by the couple right at their own kitchen table. As the nation moved west, A.Y. sensed a need for change. Westward expansion meant a growing need for water, and A.Y. directed his effort toward the manufacture of pumps and well points. His hunch paid off, and business began to thrive. Time and time again, A.Y. found a way to advance the industry, even including patented improvements to the screw wrench. It was that kind of ingenuity that brought people to his doorstep from all over the country.
The patent caught on and caught the attention of somebody on the East Coast. So one day, a very well-dressed man showed up in Dubuque and started asking questions about the patent. AY realized that this gentleman wanted to purchase it, and not knowing who he was, probably sold it for a little less money than he should have. In the end, after the patent was sold for $500, he found out that the patent was purchased by the largest wrench company in America.
In 1871, AY would begin a period of expansion, first moving his company to 8th Street, then to larger quarters on 6th Street 2 years later. He built his first factory in 1877 on Iowa Street, which included both an iron foundry and machine shop.
A number of years ago in our archives, we found a complaint letter that was from an Italian immigrant. You could tell by the writing. He sent a complaint letter talking about a pump he received from our company with no handle. The letter was completely entertaining in that it was in true Italian diction. He said things along the line of, "Sure thing you don't treat me right. You know he is hot summer, and wind he no blow the pump. She got no handle, so what the hell I gonna do with it?" The interesting thing was, after he signed his name, he put a P.S. at the bottom of the letter. And the P.S. reads, "Since I write, I find the blankety blank handle in the box. Excuse to me."
But as AY's business was booming, tragedy struck at home. Burglars entered his house. While trying to keep them from escaping, AY was shot in the chest just above his heart. He would live to survive his third gunshot wound, but would lose the use of his left arm. In the years ahead, that injury would be the cause of his protracted illness. By 1888, AY's health had declined to the point that both AY II and J.M. McDonald were asked to leave high school and college and enter the family business. Just 1 year later, A.Y. McDonald resigned as president of the company bearing his name. His nephew, John Morrison, was chosen to take the reins. 2 years later, A.Y. McDonald died at home at the age of 57.
There's a wonderful story about when AY passed away, that the people marched behind the casket all the way from downtown Dubuque to Linwood Cemetery. They also presented the family with a proclamation which basically said they were going to stick with the family to make sure that AY's dream continues. And today, we still hold those values very close.
Starting in a tiny plumbing shop an ocean away, A.Y. McDonald had come to be much more than just a successful businessman. He had come to embody the spirit of the American dream. And now, just as in the past 150 years, the A.Y. McDonald Manufacturing Company has continued to be a family-run business, passing from generation to generation, carrying forward the core values that A.Y. himself laid down, and all embodied in his simple motto: "We will make good products and sell them honestly."
We're a fifth-generation family company, and when you come into something like that, it's about the whole family, the AY family, and a responsibility of having to take it from what it was today and make it something bigger and better.
During the Great Depression, times were very tough for all companies, and the company made a conscious decision to keep everybody employed, which says a lot about a family business. A family business operates a lot different than your regular company. A family can look long-term, and they also look at the people that they work with as part of their family.
We've always been a family organization. We've always focused on our employees. We've always focused on our customers. And as long as we stay true to that, we're going to be a great organization for another 150 years.
I know, and my family has a history at this plant. I'm at least fourth generation, if not fifth, that has worked in this plant. My mother worked here, my father, my grandparents, and I think great-grandfather worked here, so I've known this company for a long time. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the best I can do. We take pride in our job.
Many years ago, I was just ready to graduate from high school, and I had a couple of job offers, and I didn't know how to evaluate them to make the correct decision. So I sought the counsel of my grandfather. He said that A.Y. McDonald is a good company. They've been in Dubuque a long time, and it's a family-owned business. He also thought it was great that A.Y.'s made a product. They weren't just a service industry. And those words meant a lot to me then, and they still do now. So that's why I'm still here all these 43 years later.
At A.Y. McDonald, we're a fifth-generation company, but we're always thinking to the next generation. We're thinking about the sixth generation, and we're thinking about the seventh generation, not just of our family, but of our employees and our customers. That's important.
When you have a family organization and it gets handed off to one generation, your job is to take it and make something of it and hand it off to the next generation, something more than what you were handed. We never sit back and rest on our laurels.
Everybody puts pride in their job, whether it's in the factory, in the foundry, in the office, no matter where you work. Everybody puts a little piece of their pride in the product.
Really, a lot of it is this is who you are. Everybody has their own clock number, and we all have a stamp that we put our own personal number on each box. If my number's going on the box, then they're going to be good parts.
Our customers love the product, and that's important to them because it's brass that's going to sit in that ground for 25, 50, 75 years without being touched. And when they want to go in and turn it on or turn it off, it'll turn on and turn off.
The key principles that drive us, the first one that we talk about all the time, the customer is the boss. That's the key thing that guides everything that we do. Because ultimately, anything that's good for our customer is going to be good for A.Y. McDonald.
The customer is the boss. They can't stress that enough around here. And they've proven that with some of the loyal customers that we do have that have been ordering from us for year after year after year. They've built out great relationships.
And I think that's the difference at A.Y. McDonald. When we have something with our customer, we always want to be involved. We want to take care of something today so that the next generation of their company is doing business with ours. It's not uncommon when a problem arises out in the field for myself or another family member to go visit the site and talk to the customer. That's important. I think that's a difference that a lot of companies don't have.
At the end of the day, our name goes on that product. That means something, and it means something to me, and it means something to every one of my coworkers. All 500 of us have a real strong sense that anything that we put in the box that gets the McDonald name absolutely has to have the highest quality standards that we can provide.
A customer gets a product that says McDonald on it, they're getting over 150 years of experience. They're getting know-how that's been developed over the years, and they're also getting a product that has pride built into it. And that's the intangible that goes into every product we make. The interesting thing about A.Y. McDonald is even though we're a 150-plus-year-old company, we're still very vibrant. We're still very opportunistic. We're still looking forward. We haven't forgotten our history that brought us to where we are today, but we're very excited about where the company can go. We're constantly looking ahead, looking for new opportunities, looking for things to add to our company. I think the future is very, very bright for A.Y. McDonald. If you really think about what A.Y. McDonald, the person, created, he comes to the United States. He starts his own business at the age of 22. And here we are over 150 years later, and there are literally thousands of people who have participated in this dream, either as customers or employees. The story of A.Y. McDonald is truly the American dream.